Hi, Mr. Heisler. Sorry we couldn't come. We weren't invited.
If you ever want to accomplish anything in life, you got to surround yourself with good people, and you got to be respectful to those people, and you got to generate a good team effort, and you all have to strive for a common goal. I don't even know if I should tell this story. So anyhow, we were goofing around, and Sister Nasita, she got pretty mad at me. She come and whacked me over the back with the pointer, and she locked me in the closet. So Paul Halfman was the janitor at that time. He had a scrub bucket in there with a mop. And there was probably, 45 minutes left yet in the class. So I'm sitting there on this scrub bucket, and finally I was on the inside, and I knocked on the door, and I said, "Sister, I gotta go potty." "You stay in there!" And she banged the pointer onto the door,
Oh, wow.
So I'm like, "Holy man, I gotta go potty really bad, So I peed in Paul's scrub bucket. So then I was relieved, and I felt pretty good, Hi.
So, what part do you play in Campbell Sports community?
What part do I play?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Parts, we gotta say.
Plural.
What parts?
Yeah.
Started out at a very young age here at St. Matt's. Went to school here, and have a lot of memories of that. A lot of memories served a lot of Mass here. And as well as across the road at the convent when I was there, the nuns used to have Mass at 5:30 in the morning. So I'd have to get my butt out of bed pretty early, pedal down Washington Street with my bike.
Well, the first time that I met Rick, we were coming out of school at St. Matt's. I was in 3rd grade, Rick was in 8th grade, and he was walking alongside of me because we both lived in the same neighborhood, and he started singing "Hooray for Hazel." It was a brand new song that had just come out, and Rick has a good voice that a lot of people don't know.
Hooray for Hazel, she put me down.
So he sang that all the way up to the corner. He went right, I went left to my home, and I got home and I started telling this to my mom. And I can still see my mother saying that, "Yeah, that Rick Heisler, he's a good kid."
Then as I got older, one of the things that I always thought about as I went through grade school and high school, played in some sports, and one of the things here in Campbellsport we didn't really offer the kids, I don't think, as much as they had in other municipalities. So one of the things that I always kept thinking about was kids should have more opportunity in our community. And kind of the majority of things that I've been doing over the years have kind of evolved around that. When I was a senior in high school, I came home from football practice and sat down at the kitchen table and was having supper with Mom and Dad, and kids were playing football outside. There's a lot next to the house. In fact, I still live in that house. And they were arguing and going back and forth, and my dad said, "Why don't you go out there and talk to them before they beat the heck out of each other, So that's how Wildcat football got started in 1970. Yeah, holy man.
The Wildcats program to me began a long time ago when the St. Matt's kids would play the high school kids on Saturday afternoon. We'd get all these kids together, we'd bang our heads up there for a couple hours and laugh, and we'd get mad once in a while at each other, and and then but we enjoyed the heck out of it. And what Rick did was Rick took that unorganized thing and he put it together and organized it. And when we wouldn't listen as kids, listening to when he was coaching us, he'd go grab a cob of corn and he says, if you ain't gonna listen, I'm gonna stick this in your ear hole because you don't listen to me anyway. We'd be practicing out there, and of course kids were kids. Kids would screw around, kids would do this and not always listen. Well, the horse came out and then Rick would holler at us. Well, the horse would come out almost every night out of the house and she'd say, now Rick, now quit yelling at those kids, she says. He's always said, now Tiger, but she'd call him Tiger. Tiger, quit yelling at the kids like that. And then Rick would go, Ma, you know, and he'd yell, God verdammt the devil, you know, he'd say something like that. But I understood at that point Rick's dedication and his commitment and the passion that he had for everything he does with this community. That hasn't changed. As a matter of fact, I think it's gotten stronger. He loves you kids. He means it when he says, I love you guys, I'd do anything for you. He actually means that. We used to have a lot of kids, and sometimes we felt like we were babysitters. Well, and Rick and I, we sat down, not on the tailgate of a truck, probably having a beer, but we said, why don't we take that 10 hours and make something special out of it? This kid doesn't want to be here, let's just make him want to be here.
I've known the Heisler family, fortunately, all my life. Really good friends with Nate my whole life, and coached with Rick for 20 years at the Wildcat football level. How he influences so many people in the camel sport area to do good things, be better, build character. It's what, you know, our JC Wildcat football program is all about, and we've got a lot of inspirational stories, but we got some fun stories too with Rick over the years. We set up the coaches all the time, all of us, no matter what age you are. We all kind of fill in to kind of show examples of how to do things. So Rick was center, I was quarterback, right, jockeying all around, and we had Coach Talon, Coach Delpani, the whole assortment, Coach Lindsley, Coach Rupplinger, everybody was spread out as a line. And so we went live, hardcore here now, right? So I'm center, I go back and I hammer back, and with all my might, the intent was to fire that ball over Rick's head, and one of the kids was supposed to block it. Well, I smoked Rick in the back of the head. And I took that big cat right down to the ground, and he was on one knee, and I'm like, oh my God, what did I do? Is he concussed? I'm like, what do we do? I was scared he was gonna yell at me, and as a 30-some-year-old guy, I was like, oh my God, how did this happen? And he got up and he looked around, and the look on his face was priceless. I'll never forget it. And he just like, what the heck? You know, and he was kind of collecting himself, came out of it unscathed. Tough son of a gun.
Rick loves the hunting.
Hunting, yeah, fishing.
Hunting fish. Yeah, and he brought up his kids that way.
Yep.
And they're all good kids.
Your last name is not
Lindsley
spelled.
Minch.
Yes, Minch.
Oh God, I'll tell you some stories about her. When she graduated from hunter safety, and her mom and dad to this day yet, they just say that it was a real turning point in her life because the girl loves to hunt. Oh my.
Hey Rick, Lindsay here. For those who may not know, Rick and I crossed paths 14 years ago where Rick was my hunter safety instructor. Not only was this man an outstanding instructor, he exemplified inclusivity and helped me see that no matter the physical limitations, anything was possible. To this day, Rick and I are still good friends, and his positive impacts in my life is why I'm currently pursuing a certification to be a hunter safety instructor.
So that's kind of cool, you know.
Rick, you've been an influential figure in so many people's lives, including mine. Your generosity and compassion is like no other. The amount of different ways you've given back to the community is astounding. And the part I admire the most about you is your humble nature to all of it.
Hello, as Campbellsport Village Board President, I would like to thank Rick Heisler for his decades of service to the village of Campbellsport and to his commitment for the youth of the village of Campbellsport.
He was our ambulance driver. He was my ambulance driver for me for a long time. I don't know how the guy could do it as far as just giving of himself 100%. And have a marriage last as long as he did and be as successful as he has.
We are so blessed to have him a part of this town.
I believe that because of Rick's success, a lot should be accredited to his wife, Barb, who has had to put up with phone calls in the middle of the night, interruptions at family dinners and suppers and events. So I guess it's always said, behind every successful man is a good woman. So thank you, Barb. And again, thank you, Rick and Barb, for what you've done for the village of Campbellsport.
My career and what I did for 32 years, Rick made me who I am. Just he's always there for you. And when you need it the most, somehow that phone rings and it's him. But you got to make sure you have at least a half an hour to talk when you call. Just like his mom. But like Jeff said earlier, he could bring people together. He could provide resources and equipment and money and you name it, people, the support he'd get from everybody in the community just to do some project.
Okay, so it was shortly after we had done Ron Rollinger Field in Fireman's Park that Rick had the idea of developing more ball diamonds because we were short of ball diamonds.
It was always a funny thing. In 1986, Chuck Doyle, who's deceased now, C.E. Doyle Construction, is just out by Ashford. Jeff Lindsley, I'm sure a lot of you know Jeff Lindsley from town here, a very good friend of mine.
The three of us were sitting on the back of the pickup truck. Rick had sketches of the ball diamond layout. He had all that in his head.
We sat on the end gate of his suburban Chevrolet truck. And I've got a plan that I drew together, and it's actually hanging out in my garage yet. That was kind of a schematic that we thought Columbus Park could look like. This was all kind of like a dream and a hopeful thing. It's amazing how Columbus Park, it really resembles that and how it really came true.
So he took advantage of anybody's expertise, whether you were a carpenter, mason, carpet layer, painter, or just a regular laborer. He took advantage of that.
The very unique thing about Columbus Park that I'm very proud of is all the people that assisted there. And several of them that are no longer with us, that are deceased. So in keeping up Columbus Park now, I always look at that as being an opportunity for all people to have good recreational opportunities, but also it's a tribute to the people that are no longer with us. And we all had our regular jobs and we worked nights down there and weekends. And any holidays that we had was all down there.
So that's where it all started. Rick was the glue, he was the instigator, he was the coordinator. It's important to the community. Rick will do it.
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Heisler, for everything!
We have so much fun working with Mr. Heisler at Columbus Park.
He always tells us stories about the park, people from Campbellsport, and his dogs.
And he always gives us pizza or Gatorade for helping.
He inspires us to look around the community and see where we can make it better.
So the first thing on our list is to replace all school mop buckets.
He inspired us most by honoring and loving others, because that is what he has done his whole life.
So we decided to work together and build and maintain a Columbus Park Memorial Garden. It will help honor people who made it a great place in the past, present, and future.
We also want to honor one special friend of Mr. Heisler who worked there keeping the geese in check, his old friend Zeke.
Zeke was like, he was like my best friend. You know, that dog drove thousands of miles with me in my truck. And when I was down in Columbus Park, he always rode with me in a gator all the time.
But we also learned from Rick not to be afraid to ask for help and always surround yourself with good people. And then we can do anything.
So that is where we need your help.
Help us honor Mr. Heisler by donating to the Memorial Garden Fund. We'd like to begin working on it this spring.
Thanks to Rick, we know anything is possible. You just have to take the first step. We thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
Thank you!
He lives for the kids every day. That's the huge part. It's hard not to be attracted to a guy like that and want to hang around with people like that because they inspire so much positive energy. We had the luxury of growing up with him, right? And going through all that with him. Pretty cool.